Hey guys, it's Tim from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and we're here again with another Monday Night Raw review here on March 12th. Taking it solo as Nick is not able to join us. So, I mean, Raw wasn't a bad show tonight. It was, alright. There had some things that was kind of like, why? But, I mean, let's just jump right into it with the opening segment. See you guys coming in here in the chat. But so the show starts off. And... Alright, so the show starts off, Kurt Angle comes out. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen here? He starts talking about Ronda and his match at WrestleMania, and then he says, unfortunately, Brock Lesnar's not here. And it's like, really? Again with this crap? And he's like, Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen, he's not going to be here, blah, blah, blah. And then Roman comes out. Roman storms down to the ring, and he's just like, are you kidding me right now? What happens when any regular person doesn't show up for work? They get in trouble. They can get fired. He goes, Kurt, what would happen if you don't show up for work? You can get fired. And so Kurt kind of just looks at him and he's like, this is ridiculous. And then Roman literally just goes, I just walked through the back and Vince McMahon was sitting there where I walked by and he didn't even have the guts to tell me to my face that Brock wasn't here. He's like, I've been disrespected by Brock Lesnar. That's whatever. It doesn't bother me. But I now feel disrespected by Vince McMahon. And so he just was like, whatever. And he gives the mic back to Brock, or back to Kurt. He walks to the back and gets right in Vince's face. And Shane McMahon, Mr. SmackDown, for some reason sitting backstage at Raw, was there. Tries to get in the way for a second. And Roman's like, I ain't here to talk to you. Vince, what the hell's up with all this? Vince stands up, takes his headset off, and he's like, go to commercial now. It's like, uh-oh. So go to commercial, come back, and Renee Young's standing outside of, I guess you could say it's Vince McMahon's office. Roman walks out, doesn't say a word. Vince walks out, and she's like, Mr. McMahon, what happened? Because she said that she heard some yelling. And so Vince is just like, well, I had to lay it to him straight. I had to remind him of what his cousin used to say, The Rock, know your role and shut your mouth. He then goes on to say, yes, Brock Lesnar sometimes gets preferential treatment, but he's earned that. Yes, he sometimes takes advantage of it to an extent, and Vince said that Brock will be on Raw next week. He then says, well, hold on. I know you guys are going to say, well, we hear that every week. Brock's going to be here and he doesn't show up. Vince then says that he guarantees that Brock will not only be here on Raw next week, but he will be at WrestleMania to defend the Universal Championship. He then goes on to say, and because of Roman's comments earlier tonight, he has been indefinitely suspended. And when he said that, the crowd popped. I mean, you want to get a pop for Roman, but not in that way. So that was a very, very odd opening segment. Again, a lot of quote-unquote realism to it, especially walking straight to Gorilla, Roman getting right in Vince's face. And before I say any more, they didn't suspend Roman in storyline because of the Johnny Bravo, Richard Rodriguez steroid stuff. This is complete storyline that has nothing to do with that because Bravo hasn't released the video and they have nothing really to go off of until they do see the evidence brought forward in that video. So for all you people that kept asking on Twitter and asking on Instagram, no, this has nothing to do with the allegations brought forward on Roman Reigns. Nicole Paul says, did you see the tweet about from Kevin Owens? Yes, that was very funny. Actually, I'll pull that tweet up right now. I'll read it in case anybody else did not see it. Kevin Owens, after seeing Shane McMahon sitting backstage at Raw, tweeted the following, saying, let me find it really fast. Glad to see our SD Live commissioner has his priorities in order. His crew is at a live event in Dayton, yet he's sitting by Daddy at Raw in Detroit. Lovely. That's a good one. I love it. Because if they do go the route of some sort of Shane, Sammy, Kevin thing at WrestleMania, which they did tease at Fastlane, it just plays right into it even more. But let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. David Lavery says, did you like John Cena's promo? It was interesting. It was very different. I don't know what to think about it, because it was just like a lot. He kept on going and going, and then when he got in the crowd and he took a drink of that beer, and then he came back and he still kept going. And I'll get it. I'll get to it here in a minute. Let's see what some of the other comments. If you guys do want to call into the show tonight, since I'm taking it solo, I'm also going to take some calls. 559-475-8473 is the phone number. Again, 559-475-8473 if you guys want to call into the show. Let's see. Chris Grimson says pretty good Raw. Luca Troller says we hate Mojo. Teddy25 says, Tim, Nick, what did y'all think about Braun winning the Tag Team Battle Royal match? I mean, well, not Battlefield match. It was Battle Royal, not Battlefield Royal match. Anyways, you corrected it. My bad. All right, so, yeah, that was an interesting end to Raw, too, and we'll get there. So, after the whole Roman Reigns stuff, we then had a match, Sasha Banks versus Sonya Deville. Paige, Mandy Rose at ringside, about a 7.5-minute match, 7 to 8 minute match. One big thing was Bayley never came to ringside, even after the match. At one point, Sonya Deville clamped a body scissors and a running knee to the head to Sasha. Sasha landed a double knees off the second ropes. Mandy jumped up on the apron, but Sasha ran her over. Banks then hit the bank statement for the tap and won the match, but afterwards, Sasha got attacked by Absolution, and who didn't help her? Bayley didn't help her. Bayley did not help Sasha Banks. Bayley just whatever. I don't know where this is really going. I don't know if this is going to lead to a Bayley-Sasha Banks match at WrestleMania, if this is going to lead to something after WrestleMania. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't want to say it, but they do need some pre-show matches. Just saying. I mean, they do got two that I think they're going to put on the pre-show, which they announced. We'll get to it. But it was just very odd that Bayley didn't help Sasha after Sasha helped Bayley get from her beat down last week. So we'll see what happens. Next up, Michael Cole did announce that Kid Rock will be going to the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. Cool announcement because they are in Detroit tonight, Kid Rock's hometown. We then had a Miz TV segment. This is an interesting one. No Bo, no Axel. It was just Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. Seth Rollins stumbled on his words a couple times. Couldn't say triple threat. He was like, WrestleMania, that triple threat. I was like, calm down, Seth. I know you're excited. It's WrestleMania season. Anyways, they talked about the tweet that Miz sent out over the weekend about leather jackets and 2 suites and thinking you still live in the 90s. Miz said that Balor didn't have the accomplishments that he had and that Rollins also had. Miz said Balor was always in Rollins' way. Rollins said he and Balor knew what Miz was trying to do, pit them against each other. Miz said that Balor was the man in the bingo halls. It's a good one. Calling him an indie guy when he... How many bingo halls did he really wrestle in? I mean, he went to Japan and was just big there. I don't know how many American bingo halls he really did wrestle in, to be honest. Eventually, this all did break down. They all started brawling. Seth and Balor got into it, and then they announced that Seth Rollins would be taking on Balor later tonight. We then got the announcement that it would be Dallas and Axel taking on The Bar. As The Bar was coming down for their entrance, Dallas and Axel jumped them from behind. Match never actually got started as all the other Raw tag teams came down and they all just started brawling. Gallows and Anderson, Apollo and O'Neal, Rhino Heath Slater, The Revival, and Sheamus and Cesaro got out of there through the crowd. But they were all coming for him because Sheamus and Cesaro keep saying, we're the best tag team here on Raw. No other tag team can defeat us. We don't have a tag team to go up against at WrestleMania because we beat everybody, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. See how this all pans out based off of that main event that took place. But again, if you guys do want to call into the show, 559-475-8473. If If you guys have any comments on tonight's Monday Night Raw, since I'm taking it solo, why not? Why not? Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat really fast. Mystic Eclipse is saying every day is Rusev Day. Robert Cathy says, been busy at my store these past few months. Haven't had time to check out the best wrestling show on YouTube. Appreciate that. Vash Strawwood. PWU, there you are. I knew you'd come. Nice one. I'm excited for next week's Raw with that. I mean, I'm just going to jump ahead. They announced Ultimate Deletion next week with everybody. Not just Matt, not just Bray, but Rebby, Senior Benjamin, Vanguard 1, King Maxwell, and the new Lord Wolfgang. So I'm very excited to see how this all does play out. Jeremy Borash was there on site for the filming, so that's going to be awesome as well. Teddy25 says, Tim, who do you think will win the Moolah match at Mania? That's a tough one. And I'll get on that in a second, what I do and don't like about it. Chandler Bing, hi there, taking calls. Yeah, we're taking calls. 559-475-8473 if you do want to call in. So next up, we had John Cena. John Cena came out and was just like, finally, I found my road to WrestleMania. He said he's brave enough to face the truth, which is that he's had opportunity after opportunity, and he's squandered them opportunities. He says he can only blame himself. The crowd starts chanting for The Undertaker. Cena said that he hopes they're listening and monitoring this in the back. Cena said that he won't be contributing at WrestleMania this year because unfortunately he has no road. He then goes on to basically say that he will be at Mania, but he's going to be there amongst the fans, even if he has to buy his own ticket, which was the most preposterous thing I heard all night. John Cena's got to buy a ticket to sit in the crowd for WrestleMania. Crazy. So he then jumps in the crowd tonight, walks over to some lady, and he grabs her beer and takes a drink of it, gets back in the ring. We get Let's Go Cena chants, Cena sucks chants, and then he says, you know what, I'm just going to do it. They told me I can't do it. I don't care. I don't got a road anyways. I don't got anything to lose. I want The Undertaker. He then tells The Undertaker, you're not old. You're not washed up. You're not a has-been. Come fight me at WrestleMania. He's like, the only person that can make this match impossible, that can stop this match from happening is you, Undertaker. And I know you want to come there and you want to tombstone me in front of 75,000 people. You want to see them. You want them to see you beat me at WrestleMania. He said, the ball is in your court, dead man. And he walked off. But let's take a call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Tim?
What's going on?
Hey, all right, so my main thing is, when they showed the very beginning of Raw, was it actually planned to show Vince and everything, or no?
I honestly don't know if that... I mean, it had to be some sort of a plan because they did it. It wasn't a complete shoot. It was what was planned. I mean, none of this stuff that we've seen with the Roman and Brock not showing up, none of that's 100% a shoot. It's all been storyline.
Okay, and one more thing.
Sure.
Do you think Roman might actually show up because Brock's showing next week, or do you think that he will not show up at all?
I was thinking that maybe even though he's quote-unquote suspended, if he gets some sort of a whiff or whatever that Brock Lesnar's going to be there, he's going to show up anyways. Kind of like the whole Matt Hardy Edge thing when they first started the Matt Hardy Edge feud, and Matt Hardy just randomly showed up from the crowd even though he quote unquote wasn't supposed to be there. So maybe we could see that. They think Roman's not there because he's suspended, and then he shows up and they have to have security escort him out and all this, and he gets in even more trouble. That would be a very good way to do it, I think.
Yeah, like that was the way I was thinking, kind of like your way in a way, but I was thinking like, would Roman actually show up or not?
I mean, I assume he'd be backstage either way because it's only storyline that he's suspended. Yeah. But I mean, saying that, he showed up on his own accord because he wanted Brock, I can see that going down. That would be an interesting, good way to do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call. Have a great night.
You too.
Yeah, I mean, even though Roman is quote unquote suspended, I guess you can say, temporarily, I think he still shows up and somehow like attacks Brock from behind or something when he's in the ring. Something like that, along those lines. All right, so where were we? Oh, backstage segment. Cesaro and Sheamus. Oh, wait. There was one thing I forgot to mention in that John Cena promo. John Cena actually brought up Michelle McCool's Instagram. He said, Cena said Undertaker shouldn't use the same tired excuse that he's old and washed up, because Undertaker wouldn't be posting photos of himself working out on his wife's Instagram account if he really thought that he was washed up. I was like, you said what? That was a very odd line for him to throw in there. I don't know if that was something Cena came up with or one of the writers backstage, but it's interesting. All right, so we go backstage, and it's Kurt Angle, Sheamus, and Cesaro. And basically, Sheamus and Cesaro go, you put us in a hostile working environment. We don't feel safe here on Raw. Trade us to SmackDown now. They were like, they basically go on to say, well, we've defeated everybody here on Raw. So what do we have left to do on Raw anyways? We can go over there and take on the Usos, take on the Bludgeon Brothers. We can do some good things on SmackDown. Trade us now. And Kurt says, no, I'm not going to trade you. In fact, we're going to find out who your WrestleMania opponents are tonight in a Battle Royal. He said they're going to be a tag team Battle Royal, and the winners will face the Bar at WrestleMania. Elias then comes down, does his thing in the ring, talks about the Symphony of Destruction match. He strummed on his guitar just for a second, stared into space, and then said, "This is your fault." Got up and just walked out. I was very taken aback by this because I was like, he didn't sing a song. He didn't try to pander to the crowd. He just basically was just like, I can't do this, and left. I don't get it. I don't know what that's supposed to lead to. But then it led right into a Braun Strowman promo. They did the goofy graphics on the screen. Braun said that he dropped the piano on Elias last week. He wondered why he doesn't have a match at WrestleMania. He said he's going to come out to the ring tonight and carve his own path to WrestleMania. Strowman got a big pop from the crowd after he said that he will show up randomly tonight and just make himself known. And we really saw how he made himself known, but let's take this call here. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Not much. How's it going tonight?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm at work. So I just have a comment about the John Cena promo.
Sure.
I almost feel like throwing that Michelle McCool comment in there is going to make it personal, because it's been said, like, and Cena has said, and other people have said, like, oh, Taker doesn't want to come back. But if they make it personal, well, Undertaker's going to come back.
Very true.
I think it's just their way of trying to make Cena make it personal.
Right.
So it's like Undertaker wants to come and kick his ass for bringing up his wife, which I think would be any man that's sane.
Right. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. I didn't think of it like that. I just found it odd that he brought it up. But thinking about it like that, maybe he does come back and be like, don't say anything about my family and this and that.
Yeah, and truthfully, it wouldn't surprise me if John might next week or a couple weeks from now, when nothing's heard from The Undertaker, even bring up their daughters and of how they never show their faces or anything like that, to make it even more personal. Because that's just one thing that with The Undertaker, besides that whole the man and Sarah thing, that you never really hear about Undertaker's family, because he's one of those characters that's so old school, where it's like you don't talk about his family,
right?
Like, or his personal life, because that's not who he is.
Now, see, my one thing, because you said, next week or in a couple weeks. I just hope they don't drag this out too long to where it's like the week of Mania and then Undertaker finally accepts the match.
Well, personally, what I think is going to happen is that next week, or even like next week or the week after, Cena says something else about Michelle, or like I said, his kids.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, lights go out. John's laying, like John's knocked out, and that's the match. And then that's a good setup, because you don't see The Undertaker, but it's like, what happened.
Right. Okay.
So,
it's a good way to...
But it's just a way to make it personal, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense on what's the lead up to this match.
Exactly. Exactly. But I mean,
So,
there's been a couple Undertaker matches as of late that have just been like, why? Like the Bray Wyatt match. Bray just randomly started calling out Undertaker and then he accepted.
exactly, and
So.
that it almost feels like if this is going to be Undertaker's last match, which I pray to God if he has one more.
I hope
match,
so.
It is his last match.
I hope so, but I mean,
that
Undertaker.
They want to make it personal. They want to make it.
Right, but I mean,
Sorry,
Undertaker first started saying back in like 2001 that, oh, this year's Mania is my last one. And then the next year he said, this year's Mania is my last. So he's been saying it for like over 10 years. This Mania is my last. And it comes back every year. So who knows?
Well, the wrestling business is a drug that you can't stay away from.
Exactly.
So.
That's a good way to put it.
Anyways, have a great night.
You too. Have a good night.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. I mean, making it personal with The Undertaker, bringing up his family, I think could work. It's a different dynamic. It's a way to, I guess you could say, change up the character of The Undertaker slightly. He's not fully the dead man because he's got that realness to him when you bring up the family. I could see it really working. Let's take one more call before we keep going here with Raw. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for taking my call. How are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Pretty good, man. Just chilling. It's 9:26 p.m. Here in California. I love how everyone in the chat is like, wait, you're watching Raw at work? In reference to the previous caller.
Right.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, just to comment on the whole John Cena situation, I kind of do believe that she is on the right track. I kind of feel like Cena's not really calling out The Undertaker, but more like literally the man himself behind The Undertaker, Mark Calloway.
Right.
So I kind of feel like that's kind of the progression that's going to happen until The Undertaker shows up and says, all right, I'll do it. I do have a feeling, unfortunately, that it's probably going to be dragged down until the last week. I'm not sure if that's what you were thinking.
I was thinking not next week, but the following. I just hope they don't drag it to the end because it's like, why keep waiting and waiting and waiting?
Yeah,
I can see it. I can see that because like every week Cena's going to come out here and he's going to call out The Undertaker every week and be like, oh, you don't want to respond? Well, here's what I have to say now. And every week Cena's going to say something else and something else that he thinks going to make The Undertaker mad. So, I mean, I can see them dragging it out. I don't think it's going to be the last week because, I mean, who's not expecting it now after the promo he cut tonight?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's definitely bound to happen. I mean,
right.
If they're just going to, commit a fallacy on it, then everyone's going to be really mad about it.
Exactly.
It's definitely going to happen. I mean, I don't know if he's going to show up on SmackDown and do it, too, because you know how he's a free agent.
He could, but he wasn't announced for SmackDown. I know Asuka was, but I think they're going to do this whole thing on Raw, from what I'm hearing.
Probably.
Yeah.
So one more question. Is Asuka going to be going to SmackDown now? Should she win the title, or what's the deal with that?
Well, yeah, which she's going to. I mean, I don't see Charlotte defeating Asuka at WrestleMania. I think Asuka's going to play both sides for the next couple of weeks. I mean, she has the match with Alexa next week on Raw. And then following Mania, when she's the SmackDown Women's Champion, she's got to stay on SmackDown. Kind of like when Jericho was drafted over to SmackDown, and then Owens was drafted over to SmackDown. Him and Jericho had the match for the U.S. title, and then the U.S. title came over to SmackDown because Owens defeated Jericho, and Owens was on SmackDown and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So it's like that.
Yeah, so it's just a way to move Asuka over. She's defeated all the women on Raw. Now she can go through all the women on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure one thing that I've read all over the place is that Carmella is probably not going to win the title anytime soon. She could actually end up losing.
Right. From what I've heard, Carmella tries to cash in after the match at Mania, and she fails. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to be expecting. So it is what it is.
Right.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you go to finish your show. Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Thanks for the call.
You too. Bye.
Now, here's one thing I want to bring up, going back to this Undertaker John Cena thing for a second. I was listening to Brian Alvarez today on Wrestling Observer Live, and he got a text message that said, what if Undertaker comes back as the American Badass, so Kid Rock can perform his entrance at WrestleMania, perform the theme song American Badass for The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Now with people now thinking, these ideas of John Cena's not calling out, quote-unquote, The Undertaker. He's calling out the man that plays The Undertaker. He's calling out Mark Calloway, the real man. So maybe we could get that American Badass character at WrestleMania, and you could tie it all in together with Kid Rock. I don't think that's going to happen. It's a cool idea to think. It was something that I heard earlier today. Some listener of Brian Alvarez's Wrestling Observer Live did mention, so I just thought I'd bring it up. Say, hey, what do you guys think of maybe The Undertaker coming back as more of a real guy instead of the dead man, as the American Badass, and hey, tie it in with Kid Rock since he's going in the Hall of Fame. But let's move on forward with Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. So early in the match, Rollins took a kick from Balor across the head, to the head. Rollins then blocked a comeback from Balor with a downward spiral into the corner. Balor got under Rollins for a springboard and hit a series of forearms. Balor kicked Rollins in the head and caught the final cut for a 2 count. Balor then attempted the 16-19, but Rollins caught him with a knee to the head. Rollins went for a ripcord knee, but Balor used a knee of his own on Seth Rollins. Match got a lot of time here. Went for a little while. Went through a commercial break. Came back from the commercial break. Balor tried the woo kick, but he was greeted by Rollins with a super kick for a near fall. Rollins staggered to his feet, forearmed to Balor in the corner twice, but Balor dodged a third attempt, kicked Rollins in the head from the apron, and then he went to go for the coup de grace, but Rollins got up and kicked Balor. Rollins then teased doing the superplex into the Falcon Arrow. He hit the superplex, was going to come up for the Falcon Arrow, and then was all of a sudden rolled up by Finn Balor. Finn Balor defeats Seth Rollins. It was cool because you always see Seth hit that sequence. He hits the suplex or the superplex and then rolls it right into the Falcon Arrow. But this time, Seth was duped a little bit. He was duped a little bit by old Finn Balor, and Finn rolled him up for the victory. I liked it. Richard Hoffman in the chat says, no, Nick. Unfortunately, no, Nick is on vacation. Can't be with us tonight, but he should be with us on Wednesday for the normal Wednesday night podcast, and he should be back on Friday as well with the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. So after the Finn Balor Seth Rollins match, they said that they want to what's the word they say, honor one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time, Fabulous Moolah. And then they played a video package about Fabulous Moolah, talked about Esther Williams, Babe Dickerson, Zaharis, Athea Gibson, and then they said this year at WrestleMania, they will have the first ever Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal. And I'm just like, it's copying the men again, unfortunately. But what I did like that they announced is they said this will consist of women from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. So NXT women will also get to be in this Battle Royal as well. I mean, hey, it's something to get everybody on the card. After this, Asuka came out to explain why she's challenging Charlotte. Charlie Caruso came out to conduct an interview, but they were cut off by Bliss and Mickie James. Bliss said Asuka's interviews aren't her strong suit because her English isn't that great. She was going to explain why Asuka did what she did. Bliss said Asuka has the longest undefeated streak in the history of the WWE. James said, how does Asuka keep that streak going? Bliss said that it's because Asuka is smart, which means that she's going to face the woman that she thinks she has the best chance of beating because she's afraid of Alexa Bliss. Bliss said that Asuka knows she can't beat her at WrestleMania. Bliss said not getting in a fight with her is smart because she can't because Asuka couldn't beat her on the grandest stage, and that she would just challenge it for the B Show's championship. Asuka said, to be the woman, you have to beat the woman. She said challenging Charlotte. She said she challenged Charlotte to face the top female in WWE, the top champion in the WWE. Asuka said that she beat Bliss once, and she can do it again. Bliss said, no, we're not going to fight right now. You get this woman. Nothing happened. She said, hold on, you get this woman. Again, nothing happened as she was expecting Nia to come out. And when Nia didn't come out, Mickie cheap shot at Asuka, and it set up a match between Asuka and Mickie James. Good 6-minute match. Both women went back and forth for a while. Mickie got a lot of good offense. Asuka got decent offense. I don't know why they do this to where they don't make Asuka, like in NXT, she was just this strong badass that no one really could get much offense against. But on the main roster, she's always fighting from behind. She's always getting beat down and then coming back, and getting beat down and then coming back and getting the win. And that's what happened again tonight. And she did defeat Mickie James with the Asuka lock. So, yeah, I mean, there was Rusev Day chants, CM Punk chants during this match. The crowd just wasn't really into it. And Asuka did come out victorious. We then see Nia Jax in the dressing room. Alexa Bliss walked in and was like, where were you? I called for you. You didn't come. And Nia goes, well, no, because I have a match tonight. Bliss said, you should have, because I set it up perfectly. You could have got your revenge on Asuka. 3-on-1, we would have took her out. And Nia was just like, I've got a match. Don't worry about it. And Alexa was like, well, I'm going to face Asuka next week. Tell me you're going to be in my corner. Tell me you're going to be there with me. And she was like, sure, I've got you. They hugged. And we went to a 46-second match with Nia Jax and who they called Joan King. Nia threw her around, Samoan drop, leg drop, 1, 2, 3. And then afterwards, this god-awful storyline keeps going. So Nia's in the ring. She had just won her match, and the Titantron cuts back to backstage. And you see Bliss, and you see Mickie James. They said that they were waiting for an interview with Charlie Caruso. Bliss, who was obvious, and sorry about that. This was very awkward. The microphone was right in the shot the entire time. I'm like, what are they doing? What the? Is this the plan? What's going on? And they just started bad mouthing Nia. They said that what was it? Mickie said that she liked the line last week when Alexa talked about how people look at her weird in the airports, and Alexa goes, yeah, it's like watching Shrek go through TSA. Meanwhile, Jax is just standing in the ring watching this all go down. Bliss said, look at her, and then look at me. Like, really? Bliss said next week when she faces Asuka, she will have Nia in the palm of her hands because Nia is just as dumb as she is big. Bliss then laughed about it. She laughed about how Nia said that she loves her, but she's just using her. Alexa said that she knows what this friendship's all about, and it's about using Nia for her own good. And I'm just sitting here like, are they really doing this storyline? Mickie said that she couldn't believe that Jax left her like she did tonight with Asuka not coming down to the ring. Bliss said Nia worships the ground that she walks on, and that Nia needs her. Bliss said next week Jax will be her heavy while she takes all the glory in defeating Asuka. Charlie Caruso then walked up and goes, hey, you see that microphone right there next to you? It's been on the whole time, and everybody can hear you. Which is weird. Because it's like, okay, she didn't say anything about, you see that microphone, or you see that camera right there watching you too? Why didn't you say that? And I was just like, why? The way they did this was just so weird and awkward and dumb. And so, I don't know, but all of a sudden, Mickie and Alexa look at each other and they're like, uh-oh, I think we need to go, like now. And Nia gets out of the ring and she's crying a little bit going up the ramp, and she gets to the top of the ramp, and then she just gets that, I'm going to whip somebody's ass look on her face. And she storms to the back. And so Mickey's trying to pack her bag, and Alexa's like, we don't got time, let's go. And they try to go out one door, and then Alexa's like, no, she's going to come that way. Let's go out the back. And so they go out the back, and all of a sudden you just hear a big old Braun Strowman-like roar from Nia. She comes through the, I guess you could say, locker room, makeup area, whatever you wanted to call it. She's throwing luggage and just grabbing things and throwing things and ripping open luggage. And then she grabs clothes off a hanger and she throws it all at the cameraman. So there's a I guess, sweater or whatever hanging off the side of the camera. You see it waving in front of the camera. And she looks at Charlie and she goes, where'd they go? Where are they? And Charlie's just like, they left. and Nia just screams and takes off. And that's basically the complete setup for Nia Jax challenging Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't know. I really don't know about it. I don't like the storyline, the whole body shaming thing, or I'm just using her, especially with the whole stuff that Nia's gone through, and she's made it public online that, you know, she's gone through that stuff and that she's possibly gone through it backstage with other women in the company. It's just like, why would you do this? I don't know. Then we got some good news. Next week, Ultimate Deletion. They played a quick video, I guess with some of the stuff, with some of the stuff that they filmed this past week. We had King Maxwell saying, "Oh, Bray Wyatt, we're coming for you." We saw clips of Senor Benjamin. We saw clips of Vanguard 1, Lord, the new baby, Lord Wolfgang. We saw Matt in his gold boat. He said that he would use the Lake of Reincarnation. So maybe we could get Nick's idea of throwing Bray in the Lake of Reincarnation, and out comes old Husky Harris. I could only imagine. Now, we do know that Jeff Hardy was on hand Friday when they did film this stuff. But I don't know if they're going to keep his stuff in there with what happened over the weekend with Jeff Hardy. I don't think they're going to edit him out. And I don't know. But at the same time, I really don't know what sort of a role he's got in that. But like I said, they did announce that this will air next week. Kurt Angle then was shown on the screen, and he was like, "What did I just watch? I knew Bray was weird, but what happened to Matt?" And so referee Sean Bennett then shows up, and he's like, "Sean, I need you to be there next week for Ultimate Deletion. I need you to make sure this doesn't get too out of hand because this is about to be crazy." So I guess the going feeling is they're going to want us to think it's all done live. I don't know what's going on with that, if they're really just going to make us think it's supposed to be live, if it's going to be it is pre-taped, so are they going to make us think it's pre-taped? I don't know. And we don't know how it's going to air, because when they first aired it at Impact, they broke it up into segments throughout the show. Now, on Raw, are they going to just air it all at once, or are they going to break it up? One, if they break it up, we don't know how many segments they're going to break it into. And two, we don't know how long it's actually going to be. I think the original one was overall 15 minutes or so. So we'll have to see how it all goes. I'm interested to see how they do it, what elements from the original stuff and Impact they use, what new stuff they bring in, and how Bray Wyatt's dynamic can really factor into all of this. Then we had a 5 tag team and 1 singles battle royal. So it was supposed to be Titus Worldwide, Slater and Rhino, The Miz Taraj, Gallows and Anderson, and the Revival. Winners were supposed to take on. We're supposed to get a. Winners were supposed to get a title match WrestleMania. And all the teams are in the ring, and all of a sudden Braun's music hits. And Braun just strolls down to the ring, and he's just like, "Ring the bell." And the referee's kind of looking at him. He's like, "Ring the bell." And the referee's kind of looking at him again like, "You got a partner? This is for tag teams." And Braun just goes, "Ring the bell." And so they ring the bell, and Braun just goes crazy. And Braun just starts eliminating people. Like 3 seconds in, he eliminates Apollo Crews. 45 seconds or so in, he eliminates Heath Slater. And he's just going ape shit crazy. They finally start, all the guys start teaming up on Braun. They finally throw him out of the ring, but they don't eliminate him because he goes out of the middle rope. Then the other teams start fighting each other. And it was just a big cluster. I couldn't really keep up with all of it. All the teams were just going at each other. It was, I don't know. Braun finally got in, eliminated everybody, and walked out victorious. It was like, what the hell did I just watch for 10 minutes? I was so confused. Not only of, well, is Braun going to get a tag partner? Or more of, I couldn't keep up with this match. It was just a lot of everything everywhere for the most part. I mean, there's one part where Titus jumped in and tried to buck up to Braun and then goes, "Oh, nope, never mind," and ran him out. Like, really? So, yeah, Braun Strowman now has an opportunity for the Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania without a tag team partner. Does it get the Big Show? Does it get Kane? Does it get Elias? Does it get somebody we're not expecting? PW Insider did say a couple weeks ago that WWE was going to put 2 singles competitors together to face the Bar. Now it looks like that may be the case with Braun and somebody else. Unless it's, like Rio says here, Braun Strowman, the first ever tag team solo champion. Oh, I mean, hey, they've done some crazy things with tag teams before. I mean, remember when Cody Rhodes and Cody Rhodes and Hardcore Holly were the tag team champions. And Ted DiBiase Jr. comes out and goes, I'm taking you guys on for the tag titles. But he came out by himself. And then Cody turns on Hardcore Holly, and him and Ted become the tag team champions. So Cody technically never lost titles. But anyways, they've done some wacky things in the tag team division before. I like Tim Weiss's comment here. It says, Cass, maybe. Huh. It's a good one. Now, the interesting thing, I don't even know. So, I mean, that was Raw. It was an interesting show. They did some things that I really thought was went too far, like the Alexa stuff. Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. We knew it was coming. We had heard about it for the last month or so. Wasn't unexpected there. We'll have to wait and see. Ashton Tyler says Rey Mysterio. That's going to be hard because Rey Mysterio does have a partially torn bicep. He is going to be taking the next couple of weeks off, and he did say that he's unsure if he will be able to even work the New Japan show coming up on the 25th. So we'll have to see what all goes down with that. But after tonight's Raw, I don't know. They did say tomorrow night on SmackDown, Shane McMahon has a big quote-unquote WrestleMania announcement that he will be making on SmackDown, as well as Asuka appearing over there as well. But that's going to do it for tonight's Raw review. You can follow us right here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at PWUnlimited. On Facebook, facebook.com/ProWrestlingULTD. Find us on Instagram. Just search Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And, of course, you can always find me anywhere, Twitch, Twitter, whatever, at TimmyBuddy. So with that, I got to say thank you guys for watching us here tonight. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow after SmackDown.